Monotony. It comes in all shapes and sizes. Dull, tedious, just plain boring. But what is this? A contender, perhaps? Something unboring by the looks of it. Jabs right at dull, an uppercut to tedium, something that keeps you on your toes, keeps your head on a swivel, a knockout punch to your old, boring workouts. Welcome to Fight Camp.
He has opened doors for others. He fights the fight for us.
My number one constituents can't vote for me because they're students, they're in the classroom. So my fight is taking it to the State House and making sure all the dollars that we contribute to our tax base is coming back to the city of Brockton. When people talk about Brockton, they're not thinking negative, they're thinking positive. Once you invest into your youth, you're gonna have a rich community.
your behinds. I never come for folks, but for you, I'll make the nick of time. Bitch. Try me, and I'll probably end up laughing, cause I never back down. I'm that chick with a clean ass whip. I don't need that shit, cause I got my own now. I get home and I get tired of fussing, fighting, guess I gotta crack down. Don't mess with me, it's on everything. I'ma have to bring the whole city out. Try me, and I'll probably end up laughing, cause I never back down. I'm that chick with a clean ass whip. I don't need that shit, cause I got my own now. I get home and I get tired of fussing, fighting, guess I gotta crack down. Don't mess with me, it's on everything. I'ma have to bring the whole city out.
Hi, my name is Karen. I'm a mother just like you, and my son rides a motorcycle. So please check twice, save a life. Motorcycles are everywhere.
For more information on sharing the road, visit mass.gov/RMV.
Master Yoda I am. And listen you must to hulazoom.com.
The movie, music, news, television promos, trailers and videos used in this production are protected by the Fair Use Act. Section 107 of the Copyright Act. 1. The purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of commercial nature or is for nonprofit educational purposes. 2. The nature of the copyrighted work. 3. The amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. 4. The effect of the use upon the potential market for, or value of, the copyrighted work.
That brain that you gave me, was it Hans Delbrück's? No. Ah, good. Would you mind telling me whose brain I did put in?
And you won't be angry?
I will not be angry.
Abby someone.
Abby someone. Abby who?
Abby Normal.
Abby Normal.
I'm almost sure that was the name.
Are you saying that I put an abnormal brain into a 7.5-foot long, 54-inch wide gorilla? What? Is that what you're telling me?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
This is blasphemy! This is madness! This is the rule! Broadcasting from the City of Champions, Brockton, Massachusetts, with your host, Keith Sinister One Hayes.
All right. It's your guy, Sinister One, broadcasting live from the City of Champions. You are watching the booth, and of course, Zoom has some new update now. So now when you're in a Zoom meeting, and if there's music playing, it comes up with an alert in the Zoom call that says, "Are you playing music?" What the? Stop it. You're doing too much, Zoom. Too much. So now I got to go and make sure that message doesn't come up over Robert's face like it does in the. Stop it, Zoom. Just
anything to cover my face is okay.
We are awaiting the arrival of Ken, and we're going to get into the show. We're going to start the show off with some topics, and we're going to get off the sponsors and supporters. But I got to thank the supporters from last week and my guest, Mike Varatbedian, a good friend of mine. Mike Varatbedian came on here at the very last minute because they locked down that contract for the rideshare riders to become union, which is pretty historic. 70,000 members are about to be unionized. Thank you, Mike, for coming on at the last minute. I reached out to you like 30, 45 minutes before the show came on, and you guys had got the deal done that day. So I want to give them a big thanks for coming on the show. Don't mind the scruff. I've got a wedding on Saturday, up in the Fort Devens area. So as you guys know, I like to let it grow out. So when I go get my cut from the barber, Corey, Eastside Cuts on Friday, I like that nice, fresh steel across the face and across the head. So that's kind of why I'm looking scruffy. Don't be out here saying that Sinister One is being lazy. R Squared is here. We're still waiting for Ken. My supporters and sponsors, Michael Douglas Barretto, MDB Electronics, Viana Marie, her music is out there, 494 streams. Get those up there. We want to get over 500,000. Tactical Target Systems. Those are those zombie targets that you see me with at the range. I think I might be going to the range after I get off the air here because it's getting later out. So it's nice to go around dusk and get some outdoor shooting in. I Love Boston Sports. If you guys see those shirts down there at South Shore Plaza, make sure to check out Marlon Williams. Kimberly Ann Empowerment Photography. My artist, Viana Marie, is pictured there. Underwatch Protective Services. If you need any type of security, reach out to my man, Daryl Smith at Underwatch Protective Services. And then we're going to get into the news. It's First Tuesdays. It's First Tuesdays with us. And you see Robert Resnick is up there, and he's sitting here waiting patiently like I am for Ken to show up. But before Ken gets in here, let's talk about what happened over the weekend. I didn't have it on my bingo card. I don't think anybody had it on their bingo card. But if you're going to make 2020 the decade of disaster films for Americans, this is it. We've had a crazy president. We've seen that in movies. We've had COVID, and now here in Massachusetts over the weekend. And I thought it was thunder because the winds were coming through here. I thought seriously when it happened, I thought it was thunder. And then all of a sudden my Facebook blows up and it was a meteor strike. And in the beginning, they said it exploded above air, but now NASA is saying that they do believe that some pieces did hit. After seeing some of the videos from New York and other people, I'm like, it hit. You can tell it hit. You saw it coming in. And then you saw the picture. And if you guys look at the picture, where this meteor landed and causing the sonic boom that sent shockwaves as far as Canada and down to Delaware, that's pretty close. That's pretty close to hitting land where this hit. And then the first thing everybody says is, well, NASA was the first one to report on it. Then Sunday, it's like the movie Armageddon, where he says to the president says, well, how did we miss this? And he says, well, President, the budget only allows for this, and it's a big ass sky, sir. And, Rob's over here nodding. He was in the military. He knows how this all works. But they didn't tell us. Now come to find out Sunday and Monday, they're talking to NASA. And NASA says, well, we knew. We was tracking it. We knew nobody was in danger. And we didn't want to alert anybody. So I don't know about you guys, Rob, but I'm feeling some type of way. I'm feeling... Look at how close that was. And for NASA to say, we didn't want to alert nobody, I'm hurt. My feelings are hurt, Rob.
No, see, you gotta think, you've got to remember two things. First of all, NASA has excellent technology and technicians, and they had a pretty good certainty of where this was and that it wasn't going to, knock down a big city or anything like that. And so they made a judgment call, and people can agree or disagree, but they made a judgment call that there was no reason to put out an alert, which probably would have resulted in a panic because, like you started off with this segment, with all of the sci-fi shows that we've watched, Armageddon and Deep Impact, and every year or so another one of these ones comes out where there's going to be a meteor strike or something like that, an asteroid, whatever.
Don't look up.
That could be, an extinction level event or destroy half the earth or something silly like that. And so, that's what people think about. So I think they were probably avoiding an unnecessary panic because there was nobody in danger. It's not like they had to evacuate the city of Boston or the city of New York or something like that, where you would have had to start getting people out. It just wasn't worth it. Now, I understand there's two sides to that position, but I think that's the call they made. And, I'm not going to criticize it. I'm not there at NASA and I trust their expertise, but, some people probably would have liked to have known what it was, but there were no injuries.
And I get it. At the end of the day, when you look and use your common sense, I get it. I get it completely. But then there's that sci-fi part of me that's like, what do you mean you didn't tell us? Like,
but that's it. It's the sci-fi part of you, right? And that's what would have resulted in panic.
And, I texted a good friend of mine when this happened, and I texted him, I says, well, meteorite strike in mass. I says, it's next, right? Zombie apocalypse is on the bingo card next. So
that's right. The zombies are next.
Zombies are next. So we got to get ready for this. But again, yeah, meteor shakeup in Massachusetts. And you know what? It's pretty scary at how close it was. So curious to see what they find. The oceanographers were headed out this way. They believe that it didn't just blow up in the air. Now they're thinking that it did. Pieces did land in the water of the coast of Cape Cod. So great stuff. That's the only thing I had that was in the news booth. And then in the entertainment booth, the only news I have is Patriot Place. As you guys remember, I mentioned on this show, the Patriot Place Cinemas was closing, but they were bought out by Phoenix Theater, Patriot Place. Their grand opening is going to take place July 1st, which is shortly after FIFA is all done. And then they've got like $8 matinee prices every day, not just like Showcase having $5 Tuesdays. Every day before the rush, it's $8 films. That's not bad. That's not bad. To see a movie in a high-tech upscale theater, $8. And here's the claim to fame, people. Phoenix Theaters, their niche, no ads. So when you go to this movie, if the movie starts at 9, be there at 9. There is no ads with Phoenix Theaters. So it's different. I'm going to definitely go and check that out. And then we're going to get into the sports booth. And in the sports booth here in Brockton, it was just announced that Brockton will be allowed to host FIFA watch parties, and they will be held at the Campanelli Stadium. So Brockton will be hosting FIFA watch parties at Campanelli Stadium. Haiti versus Morocco on June 24th at 6. That's going to be packed. Cabo Verde versus Saudi Arabia, June 26th at 8 p.m. packed. And then Norway versus France, June 26th at 3 p.m. That's an afternoon game. Guys, FIFA is a big deal. People who live here in the USA, they have no idea what's about to happen here with these FIFA games. You're talking 7 Super Bowls to be held here in the state of Massachusetts, the equivalent of, and traffic and everything. And Foxborough just passed an ordinance that will allow Foxborough and Walpole residents, and this is something they took away. Years ago here in Massachusetts, you used to be able to let people park on your lawn, and they would pay you to park on your lawn for Patriots games, and they had took that away. But because of the influx of what they're expecting, they've now are allowing Foxborough and Walpole residents to allow people to park on their lawns and make money. As a resident, you did have to apply for a permit, so there's another way people are making money. I know a lot of people you see a lot of houses and stuff on Airbnb. This is a big deal, people. This is a big deal. and I can't wait to see it. In the sports booth, the trade went through. The worst kept secret in the history of the NFL. A.J. Brown is now on the Patriots. He had hinted at this way back when he was on Julian Edelman's podcast. And we're looking forward to that. If you guys look at that offense right now, he's going to be opposite Romeo Dobbs, and then there'll be Keyshawn Booty, Hunter Henry, and then they've got this new kid that they drafted from Notre Dame at the tight end. The running backs will stay the same. It's a pretty good team. They've got a tough schedule, but then I got Rob up here in the corner, and I got some questions for Rob because right now the Giants are signing people like OBJ and Juju, and I feel like they're like where the Patriots were a few years ago, where you just try to sign pieces that are like Band-Aids. If these guys can perform, hey, good stuff, but Juju Smith was here with the Patriots, suffered a huge concussion, which he ended up cut after being, injured. So I got to ask you, Rob, you guys are making moves. You come out, June 1st starts the free agency trade period and signing periods, and you guys come right out and two wide receivers kind of past their prime, but if they can perform, they're going to get you yardage.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Giants made a statement earlier in the year, post-draft, saying the rebuilding time is over. No more tolerating, next year. They're making a run this year, not to win the Super Bowl, but they're making a run to be a credible team this year. And so if they're going to live up to that, then that means that they've got to pick up just a few missing pieces. They had an excellent draft. We talked about that on the show before. And they thought about trying to get A.J. Brown. Of course, the Eagles were never going to let him go to a division rival. So there was nothing the Giants could offer. And quite frankly, because they had a good draft and they had already made some moves, they really didn't have a lot to give for an A.J. Brown level player. And so I think the Pats did a great job picking him up. I hope he still has it in the tank. You'll see. Sometimes a move like that is, an interesting transition. I think he'll be good. And so, also with the Giants, they actually were talking about maybe trying to get Myles Garrett, who just went to the Rams, and the Rams got him pretty cheap. So, well, I guess it depends on your definition of cheap. I mean, two draft picks. So, we'll see. But so what the Giants wound up doing, after all the moves they made, they still needed a wide receiver. They needed help at wide receiver. They've got some young talent. And so OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., had been wanting to come back into the NFL. He's been wanting to come back to the Giants. He's been talking about it for a year, talk about worst kept secret. I mean, he's been making all kinds of overtures to the Giants and some other teams, basically wanting to go home to the team that drafted him. And, maybe he's matured. I mean, that was the problem with him when the Giants first had him, his first couple of seasons. He didn't know how to behave in the locker room. He was a distraction on and off the field. And eventually they said it's just not worth it. He had tremendous talent. Nobody would deny that. But he also had a big mouth. So I think having moved around the league, played for a couple of different teams, grown up a little bit, I would hope. I think maybe it's a decent move. I don't think they're overpaying for him. It fills a little bit of a hole, and I hope he makes it through the season.
Well, what else you benefit from when you bring an OBJ and a Juju in? They teach that young talent. They do still have that skill set to teach young talent, which is good. It's good. So, somebody that gets a year under a guy like OBJ is awesome. So, I'm dying to see what they do this season. The Giants have a pretty good schedule. And then, like we said, with the Eagles, with A.J. Brown coming here reunites him with Mike Vrabel because he was over at the Titans before he was with the Eagles. Some people don't realize that. Everybody just thinks he was an Eagle. Yep, and that was kind of the key right there. He's being reunited with a coach that he loved. What I'm not happy with this year with the NFL, though, Rob, this is tough, and this is one of the reasons why I had to get my dad a brand new TV for his birthday. My dad loves his Celtics. My dad loves his Patriots, but unfortunately, this season the NFL has signed a deal where they're going to give 5 weeks of games to Netflix, not to mention Amazon Prime. And now it looks like there's a possibility that we may get games 6 days a week, and it looks like there's some rumor out there that Sundays may no longer be a game day. It may be the Monday through Saturday if the NFL has their way. because they're really pushing these international games that I can't stand. Especially, I mean, they worked this year. They worked by putting the bye weeks, but it's still a lot of work, a lot of logistics. Patriots are in Munich this year. That's a tough ride. To head out there and come back. So they've got 5 Netflix games. Netflix is getting the Thanksgiving Eve game, which is Wednesday night into Thursday. They've got the Black Friday game, and they've got 3 other major. I think Christmas Day is another one. But then Amazon Prime has their special day, and this is where it's going, people. Streaming sites are now in the bid for all of these games. My dad was so upset because some of the Celtics games were on Peacock, and I forget the other streaming network that they were on that he couldn't watch. So I had to go over there and get him all set up on his computer so he could watch these games. But it was still hard for him to navigate. My dad turned 80 years old, so I had to get him a TV with the smart stuff built in so he can just switch and search for the team name, and he'll be able to watch his Patriots, and he was able to watch these NBA playoff games on these other channels. But I don't agree with it, but I understand why they're doing it. Streaming services are opening up markets to a worldwide base. And that's kind of the bottom line. You're here at WHDH, WCVB, you're handcuffed to just being a national sport. Now you being on these streaming sites, you've opened your market up to worldwide, which is the same thing WWE has done. So I'm going to ask your thoughts on that, Rob.
Yeah, I don't like it. I agree with what you were saying. I mean, first of all, I guess let's see what happens. Is it really going to be a worldwide audience? I'm skeptical of that. How many people in, Europe or Asia or wherever are really going to be that excited about American football? I mean, they're just not, right? The people who go to the games are the American expats. And then, maybe some locals as well, but it's not like they're well attended. And the disruption to the schedule, we've talked about this on the show repeatedly, when the team goes over there because of the time difference and the travel and all the other disruptions involved in it, it really sets them back 2 weeks. It's you're lucky to come out of there with a win because somebody has to. And then, your week after that, especially if you don't have a bye, can be very challenging. So I think the whole thing is foolish. How much money is enough? They're making enough. And so, it seems to me, and I know some of the owners are talking about this, and some of the players are talking about this. They are offended on behalf of the fans when you're telling fans that they have to buy some kind of streaming service or multiple services to be able to watch every game. And, I know some people get the NFL package or whatever, where you can watch every game every week. Okay, if you're going to make that type of investment, then certainly, getting a Netflix account is not that big of a deal for you. But for the average fan who is watching on network television, including ESPN, it was nice having Sunday as football day. And, Monday night having a featured game, that was pretty good too. And those were all on network television. If they're going to start going 4 days a week, forget it. They're going to lose. They're just going to lose. You're going to dilute the impact of having football Sundays. And, I personally don't like it. I personally like, first of all, I don't watch the streaming service games because I want to watch football on Sundays and what have you. And, I don't like what they're doing. That's just my opinion. I guess I'll stop there.
And it's funny because I'm going to circle back on something we talked about off air in regards to this whole thing about money. But looking at this, it's 9 games, week 1, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7. So we're going right up to week 11 this year. Usually they tried to get them done before the bye weeks even begin. But now it looks like we're going to have an out of the country game, an international game, all the way until week 11, which is crazy. So The Niners and the Rams are the first one. Ravens and Dallas on the week 3. Colts and Washington week 4. Eagles and Jacksonville week 5. Houston and Jacksonville is the week of my birthday, week 6. Steelers and Saints week 7 in October. Bengals and Atlanta week 9, November 8th. Look, we're already getting into playoff season. Week 10, Patriots and Detroit on November 15th. That's a tough game. Now you're messing with people's playoff implications. That's Minnesota right. And San Francisco, week 11. That's a huge NFC game to take place November 22nd in Mexico City. And you look at this, and the NFL is trying to add more teams to the playoffs, which I don't think. I think the playoff amount of teams is perfect where it is. Leave it where it is. Let's not turn into the NCAA where they're going to add more teams next year.
It's ridiculous.
And all of this is it's a money grab, people. There's no need to have all these teams in the NCAA. Baseball tried it. Baseball expanded. NBA's talking about adding teams to playoffs, and it's not about the fans. It's about money.
There are enough teams in the postseason in all of these sports. There's no need to add. You're putting in an undeserving team. And yes, anybody can win, right? Any given Sunday. We always talk about that. But that doesn't mean you should get the opportunity to. If you have an 8-8 season or an 8-9 season, a 9-8 season, whatever it's going to wind up being, you don't deserve to be in the postseason.
Exactly.
Period.
I hate that in the NFL. Hate that when that happens in the NFL.
Yeah, and that's what sometimes happens. And now, granted, sometimes you can have a team with 10, 11 wins that doesn't make it because of the way things work out. That's unfortunate too. But the point is, there's no need to add. You don't give a team that doesn't deserve to play the opportunity to play. I don't care if they might win a game. I don't care if they make a Super Bowl run. We have enough teams in the postseason who deserve that chance.
Yeah, like I said, it's all about money. And to be honest, this thing with the streaming thing, they can cancel that noise. Before streaming services, the rule in the NFL was that if this was an away game, the game had to be shown on network television of that local affiliate. You can put that same rule into place with the streaming companies. I would say that.
I think they are doing that. At least there was a move by the owners to try to force that at least the local fans could watch their home team without having to go off to streaming services. So if that happens, then I'm less troubled by it.
Yeah, it's like I said,
I still don't like it.
The Christmas game and Thanksgiving will still stay on the network this year. That's a big day for Fox. Fox got that game hammered down. That's a huge day.
Well, but Thanksgiving, the last game is usually on the streaming service. The first two are networks. The last one's on the streaming service.
Yes,
so it still screws with Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they added that third game for the streaming services, so you have 3 games now instead of the classic 2 games on Thanksgiving. But like I said, people, it's all about money. So let's get into the legal booth. In the legal booth, there is a proposed bill, and I wanted Ken to be on here to talk about this, but there is a proposed bill that is going to take place. It was supposed to start this week, and I didn't see if it went through, but it was going to allow Massachusetts bars to stay open from June 1st to August 31st till 3 a.m. Now, I've always been debating this on this show. Me and Ken have always talked about this on the show. You go outside of Massachusetts and New York and stuff like that, and your bars are open till 4 in the morning. Some places, they never close. And Ken's a defense attorney. He could talk about the problems that happens here because of a 1 and 2 o'clock closure. My thing is, I'm a DJ, and I've DJ'd events, and I can tell you right now, I would love to see a 3 a.m. as a DJ, because for me, I can tell you exactly what happens when you have, this guy, hold tight, he must have heard us talking about him.
No, I texted him.
Oh, okay. He's coming in right now. Oh,
there he is.
Look at Mr. Roughshod.
We were stalling till you came in, Ken.
I am so sorry. I had a senior moment today. I completely forgot it was June. I still think it was May. My bad. Bust on me all you want.
Don't worry about it. We stalled. We were just getting ready for your topic.
Ken, to be honest with you, I can't believe it's June 2nd already. I can't believe it. And you came in at the right time. I talked about AJ Brown. We talked about the Meteor and how NASA didn't tell anybody that the friggin' Meteor was going to hit. we touched base on that. Touched base on AJ Brown. I let Rob talk about the Giants getting Juju back. Well, getting Juju and getting OBJ back. But you came in just in time, Ken, because we were talking about this proposed bill for Massachusetts bars to stay open till 3 a.m. from June 1st to August 31st. And as a DJ and you as a defense attorney, I was saying that, we've talked about this 1,000 times on this show for years and years and years about how Massachusetts would benefit. And I was going to say, for me as a DJ, the problem you had with 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock closings is that people line up to get into the club at 10 o'clock at night. You get into the club at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, you're in the club, you start dancing. You're speed drinking alcohol to beat that 12 o'clock. And now everybody is just super over inebriated because you pounded all these drinks in this little span of time. If you spread that out and make a 3 a.m., guess what happens? Now people will kind of hopefully pace themselves, and you don't have all the crime. You don't have all the BS that comes with people coming in at 10, 11 o'clock and having to pound them real quick. And I'm going to let you speak on it because you're a defense attorney. You've seen some of these drunk driving and assaults and things of that.
One other thing you also left out was the abundance of after hours clubs that spring up right around legitimate clubs. And that causes even more problems. I like the fact that they're extending it because, like you said before, I think you took the words right out of my mouth. They come in, they power drink, they get adrenaline in their system, and then that causes one of three things. Fights among the patrons, a domestic assault and batteries, they'll come home, and their wife, mother, significant other, is pissed at them for for drinking so much, leads to the domestic assault. And last but not least is your garden variety OUIs. Because you get people who drive them. I mean, not so much in because Brockton you can walk to a lot of these clubs or take the bat. But in more suburban areas, like where Rob and I live,
Easton, yeah,
Waltham, Melrose, Malden, you have a lot of people going to these clubs, power drinking, and getting in their car and thinking they're a speed racer. So I think it's a good idea. I think it should be year-round, by the way, but nobody asked me. But I think this is a good start. I would hope that these people would moderate their drinking because of the additional hour or two. But you never know. But yeah, I agree. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I like it. Ken, are you having an earthquake at your house?
No, I am suffering from hiccups as a result of some medical treatment that I've been undergoing.
Yeah, your camera is shaking all over the place. So, and then we've got some questions for you guys. We're flying along here. We're at 7:30 in the legal booth. Also, if you guys didn't see the news, CFH's Unfiltered is reporting Turning Point USA, and I don't understand this, so maybe one of you guys can break this down for me. I know about this with charter schools, but so Turning Point USA and Miss Kirk are in some trouble right now because there has been a little bit of checking of the balances for Turning Point USA, and 40% of the 12 chapters of Turning Point USA colleges or whatever they were doing are fake. Students, they called and checked the numbers. Our squares in college were fake. Numbers bouncing back. Can you guys, this is a big deal, and it's kind of below the radar, but I've been listening to some legal people, and they said this is a big deal. Turning Point could be in a ton of trouble. Whoever wants to go first from the college aspect or the legal aspect.
Go ahead, Ken. You're bursting at the seams.
I am, because full disclosure, in addition to one of my best friends being an adjunct faculty member, Colonel Resnick over there, one of my cousins is a tenured faculty member, former chairman of the political science department at NYU. And he is livid about this issue.
Really?
So I talked to him about it. And full disclosure, he's more conservative than Rob and I are. He's a moderate conservative. He's what they used to call an Eisenhower Republican. But he's infuriated by this because what happens is when Turning Point made up these figures and reported them to DOE, the Department of Education, they got federal funding based on their enrollment. And this is not unusual. All colleges and university get federal funding based on a number of factors. One of them is enrollment. So when they faked the numbers, they were getting more money than they were legally entitled to. The reason my cousin was pissed off was because NYU, among other major institutions, has entire departments that only deal with DOE issues. And this is one of them. There's a whole planet B. And apparently, they were be given a pass by DOE from Lyndon McMahon. They were told not to invest. Well, it got so bad that they actually had to investigate, and that's when they found this fraud. So we're talking criminal fraud here. In case you didn't know, lying to the federal government on a federal form is a felony. Every form you fill out that contains a lie is one count felony. Now, let's do some simple math. Every Turning Point USA turned in a form with false information, that's a felony. Okay? I haven't checked the sentencing guidelines, but I believe it's 1 to 3 years in prison per felony. Now, does everyone understand the problem?
Yeah, yeah. I want to hear from Rob because Rob was involved. He's college guy. He knows how this works, and what's this big deal? What's this big deal about the fact that you're stealing school monies? This is.
Well, I mean, I think Ken hit it on the head. I mean, it's theft, right? It's not just dishonesty, it's theft because of the money involved. And so, that's what it is. It's fraud. It's a felony. It should be punished. Now, I doubt the Trump DOJ is going to do anything about it. I suppose there could be some state issues where they can get involved on a case-by-case basis. But it's just unfortunate, right? Because this is a trend of what you see. And, people become used to the fraud, which is really just a bad situation, a bad state of things that the American people just say, yeah, keeps happening, just one more. They're not equating it to really the kind of sinister underbelly that's producing all of this. And, Turning Point USA and the Kirks, as far as I'm concerned, were fraudsters from the beginning, right? I never pulled my punches on Charlie Kirk. And I won't now. And his wife probably is less competent than he was. So, it's just what it is. They're grifters, right? I mean, that's why they're still close with the Trumps.
And it's funny you say that because a lot of people felt that way. And it's funny that you just said that about, everybody just is like, oh, well, whatever. And it's weird because when this MAGA regime came in, the big thing was that they were supposed to eliminate the fraud, the grifting. And the fraud and the grifting is at its worst right now. And now people are just like, it is what it is, whatever. And that's what drives me crazy is that it's all of a sudden it's a blind eye to this stuff because I feel like people don't want to admit that they've been bamboozled, they've been hornswoggled, they've had the wool pulled over their eyes, and you see it, and you see these people who just keep defending all this craziness. And this is just the top of it. I'd like to see this story get bigger. I'd like to see more people realize that Turning Point USA is in some serious trouble right now. And there's going to be a lot to answer for. And they like you guys said, you don't have much hope because it is Trump's DOJ. So we'll see, is this one of those things that get held over? And if Trump is out and the Democrats do win and take back over, is this one of the things that they add to going after once they get in there? It's going to get real interesting. And then...
Well, a couple of things, if I may add.
Yep.
There is also, and here's what is really getting interesting. And again, I heard this from my cousin, which I didn't realize this. There are banking related issues to this because a lot of the financing, what DOE will do is they will act as a guarantor of private financing, both for student tuition, student loans, and other things. So now you have a lot of private major banking firms who are out millions of dollars, and they ain't gonna keep quiet, and they got a lot of political pull.
Well, that's
So I
right.
think it's a good thing for the wrong reasons, but at this point, I'll take anything.
It's like, I think we've talked about this before. I would still love to see somebody who can show me one actual diploma from Trump University.
Yeah.
I mean, a real one.
Yep. Right up there with the other grifts.
Well, here's the thing.
Hit that on
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Trump
yeah,
supposedly
hit that on
came
the head.
in and he was going to drain the swamp. And all of us liberals,
make me
you,
laugh.
me, Rob, said that's crap. Now we're finding out that it was crap. But to expect the MAGA-MAGAs to admit they're wrong, I'd sooner see Rob put on a Patriots jersey and with a brainy mask with the sign GOAT. I believe that before I believe that any of these MAGA-MAGAs would admit they were wrong.
I don't deny
a lot of
Brady's
people-
probably the GOAT.
A lot of people in the chat. Deanna Marie's in the chat. Chris Gagney's in the chat. Clancy Lee Dowland is in the chat. Margaret's in the chat. Clancy, congrats. Clancy, he's in the chat, but his family was part of a story. His wife's nephew, I think I'm getting this right. His wife's nephew was the one that was hit on Crescent Street by a car, and he was left to die. They actually caught the person who was driving that car. The video was on camera. The person did put the car in the shop and had tried to get it fixed. So I'm real happy that story now has closure. This guy is looking at a max of 7 years. Hopefully he gets the full 7 when you leave somebody driving.
No, that's just one. I hate to say it, you're wrong.
What? He's not going to get the 7?
Yes.
Well, Ken's a defense attorney, everybody. I got to
deal
pull
with
back.
this. The very least, it's legally seen a personal injury, which, if indicted, has a maximum penalty of 20 years.
Oh, okay.
He also can be indicted for conspiracy if the shop owners knew what was going on, and also covering up a crime. And if he made any false statements to police officers, false statements, he's looking at a lot of time, especially if it's a serious bodily injury.
Okay. Clancy, if you're in the chat and you're still watching, that's coming from Ken. He's a criminal defense attorney, so keep your eye on that.
Now, here's the thing. He'd be right if they kept it in district court, because he'd probably get 2.5 on that and 2.5 on anything else, adding up to 7. But my guess is if it's serious bodily injury, they're going to indict, and that's 20 years.
Ooh. So we'll see. I'm just glad that this person was caught. Very, very glad that this person caught. Also in the legal booth, another big L on top of Trump had a ton of L's. Guess what, people? We called it on this show. We said this on the show. When he changed the name of the Kennedy Honor Center to the President Trump Center, we said it's illegal. Rob spoke real quick and said it was done without Congress. This is not going to happen. And sure enough, a judge has ruled that only Congress can change the name of that building. And guess what? They were out there gleefully peeling the Donald Trump off the side of that building. Trump woke up at 1 a.m. and put a whole True Social thing out. He was pissed. And then, to make matters worse, as we get into Trump troubles, his next L was that they shut it down. He has to pull back on his 1.8 slush fund that was going to pay out these insurrectionists. The bipartisan blowback from MAGA people. I saw Joe Rogan. I saw a ton of people who were not happy with this when this went down. So it's not going to happen. It should have never happened. The only thing that sucks is that the IRS protections for the family stay in place. You guys, when that went and came down, that happened in the middle of the month. So I'll let you guys speak on the fact that he's abandoned this, but the fact that this IRS protections stay in place. I'll let Rob go first.
Yeah, first, let's be clear about something. He has not abandoned it. Let's be clear about that. He is not going to push it forward in the overt way that they first introduced it, because there are at least a few Republicans in the Senate that are willing to stand with Democrats and try to block it. However, what people should understand is now it will be done in secret, or at least they're going to try to. They may not be smart enough to pull it off. But what they're going to do is two things. Number one, just because they can't have this official fund where people can apply to it doesn't mean they can't find another way to do it, a surreptitious way, under the covers way. The other thing that they're going to do, and this could wind up being more money, this could be more than $1.8 billion, is they're going to encourage all, and many of them already have filed lawsuits. Now, all of these lawsuits are legally frivolous. Ken and I can speak on that for hours, right? There's not a single ounce of merit to any of the lawsuits by the J6 insurrectionists against the federal government. If there's one, then maybe there's one, but trust me, there are no legitimate lawsuits. They were all properly investigated. They were all properly prosecuted. They were all sentenced fairly. And in fact, as I've said on the show numerous times, lightly. and so they have no claims. However, the Department of Justice, especially under Blanche, who is, remember, Trump's personal lawyer. He's no government official.
Right.
He's a crook like everybody else. And all they have to do is continue to just settle the cases. You mentioned the fact that, Trump is still protected with the IRS audits. Yes, because Blanche settled, Trump illegally sued himself, right? He, as president, sued the Department of Justice, which he as president leads, and his attorney general leads. And so what you have there is this ability to settle his own cases. He's basically suing himself and settling himself, and the taxpayers are funding it. I mean, that's already happened now with this IRS and other protections that he's gotten with his $10 billion lawsuit. He's stealing money from the taxpayers and not just the MAGA people. And so the same thing is going to be done with these J6 lawsuits, which many of them have already filed. They're going to be asking for huge payouts, and Blanche is going to approve them all. He's going to approve them all. And so nothing has been stopped here. And so what Congress has to do, and again, I don't know that Congress has the appetite. I know a few Republicans stood up to the slush fund. We'll see if they do anything to reel in DOJ, but they shouldn't be allowed to settle these cases. But we'll see what happens.
Ken?
Rob's absolutely right, as usual, but there's one thing I'd like to add. There are a number of DOJ and OLC guidelines. OLC is the Office of Legal Counsel. It's the internal affairs department of the federal government regarding the settling of cases. Okay? I only know this because a friend of mine brought this up. And DOJ is currently ignoring all of them.
That's right.
But here's the problem for Trump. There is apparently a little-known opinion that came out from the OLC in the late 70s after Watergate. It was when Ford was president. Actually, Carter was president, it was 78. And apparently what this decision said was, even if the government in charge makes a deal, if that deal was in violation of established statute, common law, or standing federal regulations, that deal is always reviewable. Would you like me to translate that into English?
No, I mean, obviously there's a chance to go to court to try to block these things.
Right.
But the way that, there's nobody there, and I don't even know if I trust the Supreme Court as the ultimate guardian right now. That's the problem.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, what
What
I'm
you're
saying
saying
is, Rob, right now there's no one there. But in case you haven't been paying attention, we have some elections coming up in November. And if it is as bad as everyone's predicting, the Republicans are in for a curb stomping, as we used to call it in Jersey. I wouldn't want to try to pull this crap with a hostile House and Senate. And also remember, we've got another election coming up in 2028. And the statute of limitations will have not run on any of the shenanigans by 2028.
Yep. We've
Yeah,
said that
I
on
think
the show many
DOJ
times.
has been weaponized now.
It's 2028 is the critical election because the midterms obviously won't change the DOJ makeup. It just may make Congress more vocal if based on the results. I agree with you there, but the problem is that these payouts will have already occurred, and
Yes,
go ahead and
but-
try to get the money back.
Yes, but there's clawback provisions, as you know, Counsel.
I know, but you can't make a stone bleed. And my concern is these.
I
people
don't
know
care
how
if
to-
I don't want them bleeding. I want them bankrupt.
Yeah, I know, I get it. I get it. I'm just saying these people may not have the money.
Well, bankruptcy is a wonderful thing. So is community service.
I get it, but we taxpayers are never getting the money back. Is the problem?
That is
This a
true.
total grift
Just-
on the
yep.
American taxpayer.
Just like the tariff money, he already tweeted out that we ain't getting crap back. If
Right.
he has to pay that tariff money, we ain't getting that money back, even though we were the ones that were paying it, and that's crazy. Let's see. Next topic. I want to. There's a couple of topics here. Early election wins for MAGA, but they came in counties that were already strong MAGA counties anyway. But what bothered me about some of these early elections is where people were bought to win. In the case of Massey, where Massey has been a huge guy who was a Trump guy that flipped. They pretty much bought him out of the office, which is sad. He put up a good fight, but they just flooded money there in the other guy to beat him. I'm not happy with this because this is the type of stuff and shenanigans that we're going to see headed into midterms. So we're hoping that this doesn't continue on. Hopefully people do show up to vote. These were Republican elections, so this isn't something where Democrats can show up and make a difference. These were a Republican seat. In what they're doing, what MAGA's doing right now is they're trying to get the non-MAGA Republicans out of those seats to try to gain the seats that they know they're probably going to lose in midterms. Now, for Ken, I've got a question for you because this is an immigration thing. Trump came in, he lowered the immigration ceiling by 20,000. And then he started deporting all these people back. And then while everybody wasn't looking, he decided, I'm going to start bringing South African farmers over and claim that these people were treated unjustly and wrongly and being killed, which was a complete effing lie. They didn't deserve to come here. They didn't deserve to get all this money and all this stuff. He raised it 10,000 so they could get 10,000 more in here. And now this week, he's raised it again, 10,000 ceiling, so more white South Africans can come into this country. Kind of explain to the people this process of raising this immigration ceiling, amounts.
Okay, the president has the authority under statute to give. We're talking about asylum, is what we're talking about. That's where they're getting at. To raise and lower the asylum visas for certain countries based on changing
But what
circumstances.
asylum, Ken? What these South? I'll let you explain because I'm pissed about this one.
Okay, so under the asylum thing, there's something called TPS, temporary protected status. And this is a flexible thing. This allows the president, within certain boundaries, to give out visas and other things to people who are currently undergoing persecution by state or state actors. Okay? And this is been around for years. And there are a number of people who have gotten TPS. There was TPS from Haiti after the hurricane. There was TPS out of Costa Rica after their thing. This is not uncommon. What the President Trump has done, and he's done it legally, as much as I hate to say it, he has declared without any evidence that white South African farmers are being persecuted by the black majority government. and therefore we give them TPS status. Okay,
but there's no proof, and the land they took was land that wasn't theirs to begin with.
Right,
which is
exactly.
Why this is...
We're not arguing that point. You're jumping ahead of me. The statute does not require the president to provide evidence of this. It's solely within his or her discretion. What happened was, and this has been going back 100 years, that white Africans were permitted to take land to develop, and if they disenfranchised black farmers, that was okay. What the black majority government says, no, that's not okay. We're taking the land back. And these white farmers were compensated. That's what people don't understand. They were compensated. Not as much as they wanted to be, but they were compensated. The problem was these white farmers were rendered homeless, and they had no job skills. I mean, they could work on farms, but they didn't want to become tenant farmers. They were big men on campus, and now they were the scrubs. So they cried to Elon Musk. Remember Elon Musk?
Yes, that's right. I remember. I saw that whole meeting with them.
Right. And then Elon Musk went to Trump and said, give my people these visas. It was a payoff to Elon Musk. That's all it was.
Yep.
And that it's total corruption. And it's total bullshit. These people are not being harassed. What they're finding out is they're no longer big man on campus. End of story.
And then they come here and they're going to get and reap all the benefits of this country. Yet
yes.
People work on.
However, if I can say something, TPS, like the Nick implies, is temporary. We get a change in administration, they can yank it like tomorrow. And there's no congressional review. There's no nothing. President says we're terminating it. That's it. And anybody who doesn't have an alternative form of immigrant status, you're on the slow boat back to South Africa.
Well, we'll see. We're gonna see on that. And then let's see. We got about 7 minutes left. Last week, you guys saw Tulsi Gabbard step down, citing her husband's bone cancer. I had said on this show, she was actually, the word was behind the scenes, she was on the way out, and this was kind of a way for her to leave. It is now being said that the White House forced her to use that as a way of getting her out. So pretty much every woman that was appointed by Trump in the cabinet is gone. Is gone, and she's done. And I wanted to mention that. Also, in Trump troubles, the House polls, we already talked about that. We talked about that happening. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the Iranian war. House limits the Trump's Iran war powers. We did have a ceasefire update, and I know Rob has been watching this and some of this craziness that's been going on there. What bothers me the most, Rob, is that this is a guy that comes out, throws a press conference and says, we've got a deal done, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? Once again, we don't have an effing deal done. There's no deal. And you're putting people in harm's way. You're putting boats from other countries in harm's way. And Iran has now said, hey, we're not putting up with this. We're just going to shut the whole strait down. That's the latest news. So I'm going to let Rob talk and give his update. We've got about 5 minutes left, and we could talk about that.
Well, look, this is actually pretty straightforward. I mean, Iran has realized, and they knew this all along, but they've proven it, that their control of the Strait of Hormuz and its significance in international shipping, not just oil, but plastics and other things, really gives them leverage over anybody that wants to mess with them. And, every administration before Trump knew that. Every Pentagon leadership team knew that. All of the planners in the basement of the Pentagon knew that. They knew that the Strait of Hormuz would be closed anytime there was an issue with Iran. And yet Trump ignored that because he doesn't understand this stuff, and he probably doesn't listen to the briefings. He was probably sleeping. And so the fact of the matter is that either he didn't care or he didn't understand. And Iran used its leverage, and they used it brilliantly because, quite frankly, the U.S. intelligence, including the Pentagon's own intelligence, is saying that the level of destruction of their military, including their air defenses, was overstated by the administration, by Hegseth, in those press briefings. And so Iran still maintains a decent capability of of air defenses, which is obviously a big problem for us in conducting operations, and of course other military assets. And of course they still have the uranium, which was the whole idea of this whole thing. So Iran is basically, look, they're out a lot of money. I mean, the rebuilding costs are going to be excessive. But other than that, they have not lost. The regime is still in power. In fact, it's stronger and more extreme than before. And they still have a military, and they still have control of the Strait of Hormuz. So really, it seems, and I don't like to say this, quite frankly, because it's not about Trump, it's about the United States. But Iran has the upper hand against Trump, and so that's the problem right now. So Iran walked away from the negotiations. There haven't been negotiations. They've been fake negotiations during the ceasefire. There've been some maybe pseudo talks, some communications back and forth, but there haven't been serious negotiations because the Iranians are not going to agree to give up their nuclear program. They are not going to give up the uranium they already have. They are not going to give up control of the Strait of Hormuz. And so what is the U.S. What can the U.S. get out of this, right? I mean, Iran is not going to stop funding their proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas and others. So the fact of the matter is, look, we say this every time we talk about this on the show. We all say we have no love lost for Iran. It would be great if the regime fell. And it would be great if the regime was replaced by something that represents the actual Persian people. And it would be great if Iran stopped being a destabilizing force in the Middle East. But none of that's about to happen, and nothing that the United States chose to do in this regard is going to achieve that. Remember, I was initially in favor of this, hoping that something could come, there could be some improvement.
Right.
But I quickly learned and admitted that the administration has no objectives, that they're fighting incompetently. The troops are doing brilliantly. The troops are doing everything they need to do. The pilots, the gunners, everybody is doing a great job. But the leadership at the Pentagon is incompetent, and the White House is incompetent. And so you don't have anybody that understands what's going on or how to fight this war. So the development is nothing. There haven't been serious negotiations other than to get the ceasefire going. And then you've got the War Powers Act, which you mentioned. And so the administration falsely claimed that the ceasefire reset the clock. No, that's fallacious. There is no such resetting the clock. The only way to reset the clock is if the war actually ended, and then maybe it started again legitimately as a separate campaign months or years later. But you can't have a ceasefire and say, oh, we had a ceasefire, now we can start again and we have 60 more days. No, that is not accurate.
Ken, anything you want to add to that before I get into the last topic for Rob?
No, Rob did an excellent job, as always. And I know we always say this, but I think we need to remind it that not only is Rob an academic, but he also spent over 20 years as an active military officer in the Army. He's been there, done that, got the T-shirt.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to close out here before I get into my upcoming events and stuff is Keg Breath. Again, when this is all said and done, this is the guy I want to go to jail. I can't stand this guy. People come on my page and talk about me hating Trump and disliking Trump, and it's not, bro. If you want to talk about me hating somebody and having complete utter disgust for, it is Pete Hegseth. I can't stand the guy. And now I'm hearing that this guy is going to graduations, making a fool out of himself because we're coming up on all these military. But then I just heard a story that there was a group of minority women who were to be getting their promotions in the military, and he just nixed every last one of them. And he just passed free tickets for military members to go see this UFC fight. But guess what? There's a stipulation. If you have facial hair, no. If your body isn't in shape, you can't. You talk about, you come in and you throw out DEI, and then you turn around and show the exact reason why the F we had DEI. This is what drives me so crazy. And I know Ken's, you throw this stuff out and then you do in everybody's face exactly why we had these things in place. So I squared, I'm just good. Because this military thing with the women was crazy.
Just the other day, Hegseth went in and removed all of the female and black, maybe not all, but the overwhelming majority of black and female Navy officers from the most recent promotion list. And look, here's the thing, folks. Maybe you're saying that he's going in there thinking that they weren't promoted for merit, that they were promoted for, so-called DEI reasons. Let me tell you something. I'm very familiar with the way the promotion system works in the military. We do it the same way in all the services. You've got an independent board that is selected. They meet for that one promotion, and then they go back to their regular jobs. And next year, a different group of people will be selected. The rigorous screening, the things that have to be in your file, the level of achievement you have to have. There are not people being promoted to the senior ranks that have not earned it with careers of distinction. So these women, these people of color, have earned their promotions by their record of service, by their proven competence, by their values, by their leadership. They are not being put on the list because they need more blacks or more women. That's not how it works. And I've sat on those boards, and my file has been reviewed by those boards. And so I know how it works. And so what Hegseth is doing is pure white supremacist BS. There is no justification for it. And he's done it before. This is the third time he's done it, at least, on the promotion list. Go ahead, Ken.
I've talked to a number of military officers who I knew through college. A lot of them went to what we call the ROTC program, or Reserve Officer Training Corps. And every one of them has told me, these are both men and women, the same thing. As an officer, you're pretty much guaranteed a promotion to captain. Unless you fuck up. You show up, you do your job properly, you don't screw the base commander's daughter on the pool table in the O Club, you'll get to captain. Once you captain, it's Thunderdome. You have got to be, not only doing your job, doing your coursework, doing extra assignments. There's a whole, I talked to you, we've had the show before since one many, many years ago, Lieutenant Colonel John Dix, United States Air Force.
I remember him.
And I talked to him recently because I was curious about this. And he said, no, Ken, there was a whole laundry list of things he had to do to get promoted from captain to major and then major to lieutenant colonel. He retired as lieutenant colonel. And he was always nervous about making the next rank up. And he didn't make colonel because he wasn't a pilot and he wasn't an engineer. And that's in the Air Force. Those are two major strikes against you. And he wasn't a JAG officer. He was an intel weenie, as he likes to say. So this suggestion that these women were unqualified in the numbers they're talking about is impossible.
That's right.
And I've heard this from Lieutenant Colonel John Dix, Lieutenant Colonel David Moreland, Colonel Gregory Oma, who was airborne, one of the few Jews in the airborne, believe it or not. And I talked to all of them. And they all said the same thing, that they all hate DEI, but they all said the same thing, these are all men. They're all quite conservative. And they said the same thing to me, that once you get above captain, unless you know the president or the Secretary of Defense, or your last name was Patton, you need to prove you belong there. Not only do you need to prove that you belong there, but you need to prove that you belong there above other people who belong there. And I've heard this from other officers. There may be 100 qualified officers for the next grade or the next rank. And there's only 20 slots. They're going to eliminate 80 people who are qualified. And I've heard this from a number of officers who said, it's not whether you're qualified for the next rank. That's the minimum. That gets you in the door. Let's get your file reviewed. But you got to prove that you're better than everybody else. And you deserve a promotion to the next rank, especially flag rank or general officer. There may be 100 people who are qualified to be brigadier general, and there's one slot. Guess what? 99 people aren't going to get that slot. Does that mean those 99 people are unqualified? No, it's just that this guy or woman was more qualified than everybody else. And that's what our military is so good. Because being qualified isn't good enough. You got to be the elites of the elites of the elites to get up that greasy pole. I mean, Rob, you like I said, you went through how many review promotion boards? Let's see.
4.
What you were commissioned as a first lieutenant, right?
Yeah.
So it was captain, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel. So I got 4 promotion boards that you were under, at least.
Yep.
Okay. You're telling me that he was the only qualified person in all those promotion boards? I don't think so. The Army JAG Corps does not recruit dummies. They recruit highly motivated individuals who want to be both a lawyer and a soldier.
The problem is that the problem is that upsets me the most is Hegseth didn't even get high enough in the military to be that, and that's what this is why I hate the guy. This is why he is making decisions and he didn't even qualify high enough.
Freaking National Guard, which is highly politicized. He was not a line off. He was the National Guard. Or the reserves.
So we got to get out. It's 8:07. I got to get into my stuff here, but real quick, I just got to ask Rob's honest opinion. Being a guy that was in the military, when you see a guy like Hegseth like this, and I know all these military people have to be professional. I know they're doing all these photo ops and press ops with this guy, meeting with the troops, but morale. This guy has to have something going on behind the scenes with morale. When he shows up, I feel like there's got to be a contingency of people like, oh, this asshole. You know?
Yeah, look, I'll just say it like this. It is abundantly clear that he is not respected by the rank and file of any rank. He is not.
Yes.
Because it's not about politics. The military may tend to the conservative side, and they do, but that doesn't mean that they tolerate a fool like Hegseth. And they don't like what he's doing, and they don't like what he is.
I've heard the same thing from other military officers who are quite conservative. These are friends of mine. They all say the same thing. The reason they don't like Hegseth is because either they...
Oh, he's a joke.
You know, or they got friends or relatives. It's like, it's real simple. You know the old saying, there are no atheists in foxholes?
Mm-hmm.
There's no political stripes on a battlefield. You're hoping that guy or gal who's covering your ass is covering your ass. That's the only thing that matters. It's coming home alive.
Right.
And that person has got to be able to do it. And so if you got a clown as a leader, they're not going to care what his politics are. But by God, because you're playing with their lives.
Correct.
And they only got one of them.
8:09. Let me get in. These are the banners I got to get into for the show as we get ready to get out of here. Those are the beanies. I want to thank everybody for supporting this show. I got to thank all the shows that I produce. Drafting the Circus. We have Destiny Spurlock on tomorrow night. Oscar Mike Radio. Turnbuckles and Spilt Liquor tomorrow night. Matty C Sports. I believe the Bat Bus free ride has been extended for another year. I'm trying to get clarification from the Bat. I'll know as soon as I take the bus. Moses Rodriguez, he's having his Next Steps free community event this Saturday, June 6th at Santana Restaurant. Michelle Dubois, her campaign kickoff is June 9th. Tony Rodriguez, his was the other night. The Blue Hill Gang album listening party will take place on June 10th at 986 Blue Hill Ave. The Juneteenth celebration will take place on June 13th, and then the Father's Day Give Back event takes place on June 21st, Father's Day, at Melrose Street, Tucas Park. Patrick Roth is coming to town. He's having his campaign kickoff here in Brockton. documentary, This Isn't Normal. That's going to be June 16th at the Brockton Public Library. And then June 25th, it ends. Make sure to get your kid down to Family Fun with Music at the library on Thursdays, 3:30 to 4:30. Brockton Middle football signups. Phoenix Theaters, Patriot Place, as I mentioned, grand opening July 1st. The Boston Brothers Foundation Ride, July 25th. And then my Boston Shriners Slingshot for Shriners Ride is August 1st. Broken Chains Biker Show, August 22nd. The Boston Pizza Festival is September 19th at City Hall Plaza. Brockton Arts Paint Night is the last Saturday every month. And then Brockton's Magic Moment. And then that's it. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to let these guys go around the horn. I'm going to let Ken Diesel go first to say his goodbyes. For the month.
I'd like to thank all of our viewers, listeners, and others, all 12 of you, guys, gals, others. Summer is a great season, but be safe, wear the sunscreen, get your inhalers, and be safe, and we'll see you in July.
Ken, thank you. And you keep sinking again. Rob?
I'm sorry, am I sinking? I apologize.
You were sinking again.
I just want to say thanks for everybody for tuning in. I hope you find it informative, and I always appreciate the opportunity to participate on this show.
Margaret's in the chat. She says thank you. Z-Man says, although screwing the commander's daughter on the pool table would be fun. That's about it, people. We went a little bit over. I'm trying to head out to the range tonight and get some time in. And great stuff. These guys will be back next month, and it will be friggin' July when these guys are back.
Oh, God,
Jesus
don't mention that. Don't say
Christ.
that. Don't say that.
June just started. We're already talking about these guys coming back. So, hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. SpongeBob, do me a favor. Take us home.
See you next Tuesday.
Thank you for listening to The Booth on Hoobazoo and HatcherRadio.com. Please follow the Facebook page and subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. The Booth is a Sinister One production hosted by Sinister One.
I've got to start hanging out with friends that are a little more intelligent and understand politics and stuff. It's just that I'm up on this level up here, and all my friends are down here. Me, nah. You guys, nah. Maybe a little more down in here. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
I smoke, I drink, I do my thing. These bitches hating, so you know I got to make it plain. Don't do cocaine, but your chick, my main. We stick together, true forever, yeah, you know we bang. I miss those days, which was easy. If only I make it, bitch, don't repeat. Now that I done upgraded, I've been upstate, but y'all think I'm playing. And I got a hit now for these weak assholes who think I ain't slaying. Try me, and I'll probably end up laughing, cause I never back down. I'm that chick with a clean ass whip, I don't need that shit, I got my own now. I get hard, I get tired of fussing, fighting, guess I gotta crack down. Don't mess with me, cause on everything, I'ma have to bring the whole city out.
WHOOBAZOO, that's Hoobazoo.com. Enter website.